Welcome to How to Buy a HiFi System, the Process of Price. I'm Chris Connaker, founder of Computer Audiophile, and we have a very distinguished panel here. And before I let them introduce themselves, I want you guys to know that we are here for you. You're not here for us. So we hope there's a lot of questions, and you can steer the conversation and get a lot out of this. So with that, I'll have everyone introduce themselves.
I'm Phil Murray from ListenUp, Vice President of Marketing and E-commerce, and I've worked there a really long time.
I'm Josh Samuel, Recycled Audio Incorporated, in business since 1978, before all the computers and all the great phones and all this stuff, and primarily been selling used equipment for going on 38 years now.
My name's Irv Gross. I'm with Constellation Audio. I'm originally a Colorado boy. Did high school in Colorado Springs, college in Boulder. I got started, the retail store I worked at was about 2 miles from Josh's retail store in Boulder. Worked retail in the Denver Boulder area for many years, and now I'm with Constellation Audio. Before that, I was with Magico Loudspeakers and Krell Electronics. Thank you for coming.
Okay, so not sure if you're familiar with these guys. Hopefully you are. But Phil has components ranging from probably $100 to $100,000 and more. So talking process of price, he's a very good resource and has probably seen customers at every single price range. Irv has very, very high-end electronics, very good, wide price range. And Josh, I just went out to his site today. Very, very cool, so I hope he talks a little bit more about it. So the title of this, is How to Buy a System, but how many of you have gone in and purchased a whole system? Just, I want the whole thing. Usually it's piece by piece, right? So I'll ask Phil this one. So what I go into your store and I'm looking for a new digital to analog converter. I mean, where do you steer people? I mean, or are people have this thing in their head like, I'm going to spend this much amount of money. So how does price come into this? Or, how do you do this?
I think the main thing is you try to qualify the customer, you ask them a lot of questions, and you want to find out what their long-term goal is. Some people do want to just come in and buy a piece, a DAC or something, but if they're building a system, am I on?
It's very low.
Mine's not working.
I was changing her volume in the back and wasn't getting anything more, so sorry about that.
Is this working?
We could do that.
Anyway, I think the benefit that a store like ours have is we have professional career salespeople who can work with you to meet your long-term goals. And I've seen a lot of people buy pieces from, maybe they'll buy something from one store, they'll buy something online, they'll buy something from another store, and they don't really work well together. I once had a customer when I was selling on the floor who bought this was 25 years ago, bought the big Levinson transport, $15,000 transport, and he bought a DAC from somebody else, and he bought his speakers from me and electronics from somebody else. And at the end of the day, he got a system that really didn't work well together and ended up coming back to me, trading it all in, and bought a Bang & Olufsen system because he was just so frustrated. So, I think one thing you want to consider is working with somebody who knows all the pieces in your system, can help you get to where you want to end up. So,
Cool, thanks, Phil. I don't have a horse in the race from a selling anything aspect, so that's really good advice. And there are some really good dealers out there, and there are some less than really good dealers out there. My online forum is full of people happy about dealers and unhappy about them. So find one that you like, and think about long term. So Josh, tell us about what's the typical customer interaction, and how much does price come into play, and do you steer people, or they just come and say, I want this? How does that work with you?
Well, price with regards to my store has always been one of the key elements of why I was in business and started in business. Back in 1978, what was always troubling to me was value, and how do you maintain value with equipment that you've purchased when you go to buy it new, and then you leave, and over a short period of time, the value drops quite a bit. And so my store was always based on maintaining value, and I firmly believe that when buying used equipment, good quality used equipment, the value maintained itself. And to me, it wasn't any different if it was in a piece of good quality audio gear or whether the money was in the bank. It was still value. And so I really tried to strive to do that, and stand behind that by giving a one-year trade policy. I was one of the first in the Rocky Mountain area that believed in it so strongly. I was willing to, if you're not happy, within a year you could come trade it, move up a bit. I was not scared to see that piece come back because I knew it was good quality. I was selling value. And that still exists today, although there are a number of other factors that you could add to the equation. Value. ListenUp and I for many years did tons and tons of business with used equipment, and I had still have a lot of respect for what they do, and value comes in many ways. It's not just value in what you purchase. It's value in service. It's value in making sure what you're buying has the correct build quality. For instance, value just isn't going into Best Buy and spending $200 on a receiver and going, man, that's 200 watts. What a great value I got, because at the end of the day, you really bought a piece of crap. And the reason for that is the build quality. So value is not only limited to the money you spend and but it's also the money spent on the build quality, so power supply. So buying a 20-watt integrated amp that's built with a great power supply and discrete componentry, even though maybe that's 3 or 4 times the money, that may be in fact the better value than the IC chip 200-watt receiver that has no power supply and really doesn't deliver good musical quality.
Yeah, very true. I agree. So, Irv, can you briefly talk about your product line, and here's our entry level, here's what it's priced, and prices and the title of this seminar, and then tell us a little bit about what do we get for that? There's obviously the box that you bring home, but when I think about it, if I invest in a high-end brand, there's got to be something more than just there's a box at my house. What if this thing breaks in 5 years, in 10 years? What is the value into spending that much money?
Very legitimate questions. I think that Josh touched on a couple of things, and it begins with build quality. Our least expensive component is a just under $10,000 preamp. Our amplifiers go all the way on up to $180,000 for a pair. So one of the things that makes us who we are is we start with build quality. We also are an American company in terms of all of our manufacturing is done in Southern California. So for those of us that have an interest in supporting American economics, that is part of the price that is built in to Constellation Audio. Another very important thing is what Phil said earlier, and that is value comes and price come in many factors. And I don't think you can overlook the importance of the direct interaction with somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about. You know, just reading a review and going online and trying to save $35 because something got a great review and, oh my gosh, I think I should have it. The horror story that Phil told is one that I experienced many times. Somebody comes in with their current issue of Stereophile or Absolute Sound and wants this a recommended component or this editor's choice award and wants to, you know, save you the trouble of putting a system together because, you know, all these experts in Santa Fe or New York or wherever have done that for you. For us, we start with a couple of things. We start with a really good design team. We've incorporated a lot of what we think are some of the best intellectual property minds in the industry. These guys don't come cheap, okay? But their circuits aren't cheap. When you get a circuit, a phono stage that's designed by John Curl, when you get some digital work that's been done by Demian Martin, there is a reason why these people have established the reputation that they have. We take some of the intellectual property that they have, we build it well, we manufacture it with care. As you move up our line, you get several things. You get bigger power supplies, you get better parts, you get fancier casework, but what we try to provide is a solid value in terms of value being what you get for what you pay. And Josh's point about a 25-watt integrated amp that's well made is a far better value than, you know, an IC chip receiver. So whether, you know, I think it's possible to say we've got a new amplifier out that's $40,000, and when you compare what it does, the performance that it delivers in the real world in terms of not driving an 8 ohm load on a resistor table, but how it drives dynamic loudspeakers in the real world over a variety of conditions, I think it constitutes a good value. If you compare it to the other products that are out there in its category, I would invite intelligent listeners to go out and shop and see if they also feel that it's a good value. If they feel it's a good value, there are good choices as to where to buy it from. We're very proud we have a limited dealer network, and our dealers, we like to think, are very skilled at explaining to customers what they get for what they pay.
Cool. Thank you, Irv. So this question, I think each of you probably have your own opinion on it, and it's, you know, increasingly popular, is what's your take on online sales? And let's start with that one. What's your take with online sales? And do you offer online sales, or is it limited number of products, or what's the deal? We'll start with Phil.
We actually have a pretty active, very active e-commerce site where we sell a variety of products, and so, but we've also made a huge investment in our stores, in demonstration equipment in our stores, and you know, we have customers from around the country who deal with us, and we have you know, phone support where we can give the same level of service that we can give in the store, and it's great if you know exactly what you want to buy. I think where people lose track is they see a great deal, or maybe they can avoid sales tax, and they end up making a misstep online. So I think online's great if you know exactly what you want, you know it's going to work. But trying to save sales tax, or maybe get 10% off, as opposed to going and listening to something and matching it up with the rest of your gear, can be a mistake in the long run. So,
Josh, what's your take? Online sales?
Well, you know, my business for the first 25 years was primarily a brick and mortar, and then the last 14 is kind of transitioned to almost all online sales, although I still have a great customer base that comes to visit locally, and I also send a good portion of my mix to other online resellers that help me move the volume of stuff that I get. But overall, over the years, online sales was very supportive to my business, provided that I handled it properly, which it would be to, if someone wasn't happy with anything they bought from me for any reason, even if they just made the mistake, the wife doesn't let me spend it, or whatever the reason, I never hesitated to even take the return, and I even went so far as to pay the return shipping. And my viewpoint is if I wholeheartedly stand behind what I'm selling, I shouldn't be afraid that I'm losing a customer. I'm actually gaining a customer by standing behind the products unconditionally. In the future, only has that person be happy with their purchase, and ultimately tell other people, and they will come and return and buy from me, provided I have products, good products. But I've never been afraid of online sales, and I don't think that someone looking to purchase should be afraid, as long as they're trusting who they're working with. I'd point out, Steve Rowell is in the audience here from Audio Classics. He sells stuff worldwide for 35 years plus, and does an incredible job selling stuff. It only promotes more awareness for somebody's product. It's a free market society. Things should be sold, based on your ability to generate somebody's trust. And I've never shied away from that. I've only looked at that as a challenge to gain somebody's trust. I sell tons and tons of stuff on eBay, very, very expensive things, to people that have never seen me or know me. But all they need to do is look at the feedback and see what people say. And that speaks for itself. And never had a negative feedback in 14 years. That's the kiss of death. I just did it. But I really go out of my way. And like I said, to the point where if you're not happy, you tell me what I need to do to make you happy.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, you're in a little different situation with you're not taking the hit. If somebody buys something from you that's new and they send it back, you don't have B stock now. So, in a way, that's a little bit different.
But I sell new products too.
Okay.
I do Hagel closeouts. I was a Macintosh dealer for 25 years, one of their bigger accounts. There were times things came back, and I didn't like, pressing the refund button on PayPal, but you know what, it's necessary. And that's more important. It was more important to me that person walk away with a good experience than it was the money.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. So, Irv, your take on online sales and the importance of, the dealer, because I know you guys now do have some online sales. So,
Well, as a general rule, we prefer that customers interact with a local dealer. At the same time, we're not naive. We have 10 or 12 dealers in the United States. We really feel that there's a value in the interaction that Phil talked about in terms of finding the right component for the right system that works for each unique customer. At the same time, we know that there are people in Kansas City or Des Moines, Iowa, where we don't have dealers. So we do have some accounts that do sell online. And I'm comfortable with it because I know that if you talk to any of these people, that they're sufficiently trained and educated that they can do the qualification process to find out how you're going to be using it, what you're going to be using it with. You're not shipping it to your cousin in Hong Kong or wherever. So we're kind of in that gray area where if you had asked me 5 years ago, I'd have said absolutely not. And if you ask me in another 5 years, I don't know. But we understand that the realities of the 21st century are that some people, that's their preferred mode of buying. At the same time, I wouldn't buy a car without test driving it. I would like to encourage people to hear our product, because I think that's where the value is. For somebody to look at a magazine, at an internet site, and try to find out which of 3 amplifiers is the best amplifier for their particular speaker seems to me to be a little naive. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage the dealer interaction as much as possible.
Well, I think the really tough thing right now in our industry is there aren't enough qualified dealers to carry all the products that are available. And we have some exclusives with some manufacturers online to service people in regions, and they're actually, we have territorial restrictions. We can't sell, say, a Moon piece into a market where they have a dealer, but there's a lot, as Irv said, there's a lot of areas where you've got an enthusiast and he just can't hear the product.
Yeah,
So
we want to take care of you, like,
yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys do? That brings up a good point. There's people on my site all the time saying, "Can somebody ship me this so I can hear it? Because there's no way I can hear this component." They want to borrow it from somebody. So, what do you guys do? People want to hear this stuff and they can't.
Well, like, we operate the same way Josh does. If you sell something and you don't like it, we have a 30, 60 day, guarantee. So if you buy something, you get it home, you don't like it, send it back. And, you do end up with some more open box product than you might like, but that's kind of the cost of doing business online. We had a customer online buy 3 different DACs from us, all in like the $300 to $500 price range, and I saw that, and I said, "Oh, 2 of those are going to come back if I'm lucky." At least 2. And sure enough, 2 of them came back. But I think the level of service that you have to offer online is sometimes higher than what you do in the store. So that's just the cost of doing business online.
I like to stay away from just someone sending an email and here's my credit card and send me this, or on eBay someone is looking to buy a very expensive preamp and has questions. I really try and stay away from answering those questions strictly online by email or just a response. I really encourage, I would be more than happy to answer your questions. Please call me. Give them my phone number. And I spend the time with most of my clients that are on eBay spending a lot of money or on AudioGone or anywhere, encouraging them to call and let's talk about what it is that you want to purchase. And I can get a first-hand, given my experience of 38 years, we could talk about the build quality. Why is this for you? Why would it be a good match, or why it wouldn't? And I find most call and we talk. And I think it's not the same as someone coming in your store, but it's not the same as them just clicking it and buying it and not knowing what they're buying. At least I have some idea that I'm kind of steering them in the right direction, or this is just a waste of time and you shouldn't be doing this. So I really find that breaks down a lot of barriers, and we get to chat. I get to know them. They get to know me. They get to know the history. And most of the time, I don't see things come back very often. And I think it's because I take the time to know who they are personally. I give them my personal cell number. Call me on my cell phone. Any problem whatsoever.
So Irv and Phil, your phone numbers are?
People can find me, whether I want them to or not. And I do answer emails.
Telephone support is a critical part of online sales, and we actually have a crazy guy that will answer almost 24/7. So.
Okay, so Josh brought up a good name that I would like to get your guys' opinion about. AudioGone. So when I first got into this industry in 2007, not that long ago, I thought, oh, Audiogon, cool. I can buy used stuff. And then I would talk to some manufacturers and some dealers, and they would be like, oh, that site's the devil. It's the worst thing ever. And I was like, what? So what's your guys' take on Audiogon? And, try to be honest. Good or bad?
I don't think it really matters. It's here. And in some ways, looking at it, the glass half full, it helps some of our customers sell their stuff and come back and buy something from us. So
it's cut the dealer out. There's people who will only do audio who never do.
You're absolutely.
How can you say it's a good thing for the dealer?
Well, I'm not.
If people will get audio money, they did them at the only place you're going to buy anything.
You're
I'm a
absolutely.
small dealer, Richmond, Virginia, and there's people who will not. They only do audio.
Yeah.
So I think it sucks.
Yeah. I didn't say I loved it. I just said it's here to stay. So we're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to stir up controversy. I'm just, because a lot of people, like enthusiasts, have no idea that there's other opinions about it, really. And when I got into the industry, I was like, oh, really? Surprise. So
I think one of the points you touched on a little bit is probably one of the most important things is the experience that these guys have up here to help you sort out the product you're looking for. If you go to Audiophile, you might buy something that's great, but I'm sure Phil knows some products that have been dogs in the industry and recent dogs. We all do. And we know what's good, we know what's not good, which works well, which, especially in preamp processors, digital products, they can be a mess. So they can steer you in the right direction. So if you pay a little bit more from a dealer, then you're getting the advantage of their experience, and you may end up saving yourself a lot of money in the long run.
yeah,
I don't know what the hell you're buying on Audiophile. It could arrive broken, and some manufacturers, and we're one of them, we don't support warranty work for products sold on Audiophile. We encourage people to go to our dealers, and for one of those reasons. A customer might legitimately have a product that they want to sell that's in good working condition, and thanks to the people that play UPS football, when it arrives at your doorstep, it doesn't work, okay? Now the consumer's out of luck, and they just spent, who knows how much money on a product that, they're kind of behind the eight ball at now.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody buy it. I'm just trying to say, one possible benefit, but, you bring up a good point. I've seen customers who only buy on Audiophile, so.
I can't say I've had a lot of success as a seller on Audiophile. The only time I've really had big success would be on new closeouts where I have 20, 30 of an item, and I could put an ad and let it sit. eBay, I have great success, but as a consumer, and if you're going to purchase, whether it be online, Audiophile, eBay, I think it is very important to consider that you may be buying something that's not working properly. You may be buying from someone that does not have a good reputation. Just because I will stand behind my products doesn't mean I'm the norm, okay? So if you are going to buy based on price, and you are going to buy from a website or Audiophile or eBay, there are a couple ways that you can back up and protect your purchase. And the first line of defense is to pay through PayPal. If you pay through PayPal and you get an item that's not as described, that doesn't work, that doesn't arrive, that you outright was theft, you can file a dispute with PayPal, and your money is instantly taken out of the seller's account and is technically back in your account, although it is kind of in limbo, but it is theoretically in your account until he proves otherwise, okay? And the second way to back it up is that when you do pay through PayPal on your online purchase, is to make that PayPal payment with a credit card. Don't transfer it out of your checking account or your savings account or a PayPal balance. Pay your purchase through PayPal and pay it with a credit card through PayPal. Because then you're not only backed up with PayPal, but you're also backed up with your credit card. And the PayPal period for a dispute is only 60 days. But PayPal is bound, though they won't tell you this, but PayPal is bound to the rules that the credit card and the bank companies have in place. And you could potentially dispute your purchase for 6 months to 2 years if you used your credit card to back up the PayPal purchase. And so if your initial dispute falls through with PayPal, you could always call the bank and say, I made this purchase and it isn't right. And the bank will send a letter to PayPal, and 5 months later, all of a sudden, PayPal is putting the money in the same process. It's back in your account again until it's cleared up. So that's a very important thing to remember when you're paying, because there are pitfalls buying online. And if you're going to buy based on price, you need to at least protect yourself to the best of your ability. And those are two ways. And I've, through experience, have been caught on both sides of that fence. And it's amazing how quickly PayPal will stand behind the customer, and if PayPal doesn't, the credit card company does. And that's good to know.
So Western Union to Nigeria is the third option?
That's my cousin.
No, I'm just, I'm just saying.
But these are things, as a seller, as a retailer, you may not be even aware of that you could get in trouble with, that the customer really, all he has to do is make a phone call and they're covered.
Okay, so let's answer exactly what you guys want to know. Who's got questions? Yes.
Josh, if I wanted a particular amplifier, can you find it for me?
A lot of times, yes. I'll put you on our list and I'll start looking. Yes, that happens. But on the other hand, I can't predict the future. If I did, I would be.
I wouldn't have asked the question if I could have predicted the future. I'm looking for one and I can't find it.
What are you looking for?
One of the Sansuis that has feed forward instead of feed back.
If you send me an email with what you're looking for, I keep an eye out. You could also, my website is updated 2-3 times a week. You could look, it's not a very sophisticated site. It's just pretty much a line listing of everything that's in the store. And at the bottom of each category is the date it was updated. And I really do encourage, we talk on the phone. I don't like an experience that's just strictly, I never get to know you or anything, and you don't. Yeah. No, I see a lot of stuff. I'm in touch with a lot of other people that do the same things I do. I must say a lot of the younger, the new up and coming used retailers are selling, used equipment to a new level. When I started, there were relatively few people doing what I do. Steve with Audio Classics, myself. There was a Played Against Sam in Ohio. There was Richard Fowle in California. There was only 5 or 6 people doing this, and there was not a lot of communication. No cell phones, no computers. Selling stuff to Japan from here was a new experience. I remember one guy finding my store and showing up and wiring a ton of money into my account, pending me delivering all this used equipment to somewhere in California, and going to a storage bin with this huge U-Haul truck, and it was a block long of storage lockers that they were filling containers up with. Now the networking between a lot of people that are in these businesses is very, very sophisticated, and their ability to find things is not as obscure as it used to be, and they take it very, very seriously. I'm small potatoes compared to a lot of these guys now that are out there. They're young. They have the energy. They work 12-hour days. It goes on and on why they're taking it to a whole new level.
Energy without experience. Be careful.
You're right. You're right. That's true. But they have the sincere desire to do a good job. So yes, they don't have the details that a lot of us in this room have as far as knowledge, but they have the desire and willingness, and over time they will have that. They will have it.
Yeah. Okay. Who's next? What did you come here for and hope to hear that we haven't talked about? Anyone? Okay. Let me say that it can't be overstated how important the dealer is, or the person that you're buying from. Coming from like a consumer aspect of this, not being as somebody who sells stuff, I didn't realize how critical it was until I got into the industry and found a few people that were very sincere and smart and knew what they were doing. It can totally change your audio life, for lack of a better term. You buying on price, it can just lead to so many bad things. So finding somebody or coming to the show, and if it's Phil or Irv or Josh, ask them questions. And even if it's not about their specific thing, they will help you. They're smart guys, honest guys who have been in this and know. So it can't be overstated how important it is. And you can actually...
By the way, that's true across a wide number of industries.
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife about a watch, and there's a local jewelry store. And she made the point that is especially applicable to our industry, that if we don't support the local dealers, we won't have local dealers. And, I think that's part of the downside of the internet. I understand, all dynamics, but when you find a local dealer, when you find a dealer, regardless of whether you're in Virginia and Josh is in Boulder, that you trust, it's important to support that channel, because if you don't, they're going to go away.
Mm-hmm. And one other thing I would like to say about that too is, Irv said, it's important that you support the local dealer, but the local dealer is also supporting you. It seriously is. It's a big deal. Don't let your dealer get away with shipping you a box and saying, "See you later."
Chris knows, who flies around the country to support his customers, and we've got two of them in California who are both superb, and their customers, they have a nationwide customer base because they provide first-class service.
Yeah, so ask around. There's guys out there that do this. So I believe we probably have 1 minute left. Yeah? Okay. Anything you guys would like to say?
I think it's curious, the one word we didn't mention today was Amazon. And
are you guys selling through Amazon?
Amazon is a love-hate relationship for us, because we are a third-party affiliate seller, and we try to find our niche of products that vendors who do not sell direct to Amazon, and we can do some good business through there. On the other side, they are the most, they're just ruthless competitors. So support your local dealer, please.
I mean, just also, one thing we haven't touched on is when looking to buy stereos, you look in the magazines, there's the A class, the B class, the C class, and I think it's always important to remember that you can trust your ears. You can go look for a stereo, and there are values out there that are not necessarily the most expensive. There are things out there that are at a good price, even at their retail price, that really are great values, audio values. And example, Steve McCormick Audio. He constantly made products that way outperformed in the categories they were at. And I could remember him coming to the store, and he wanted to hook his equipment up with a power cable, and I'd go and take the new power cables, the Cardis or the Terra Labs on the wall. He says, I don't want to look at any of those. He says, I want to see your box, your scrap box of power cords. And I'd haul out a big box, and he'd look through those one at a time, all the used cables, and he would pick out 2 or 3, and I'd go, but this is a $200 power cord. He said, I said, but see this one right here? He says, this $3 one is going to sound better than all of them. And sure enough, he was right, because he knew what he was looking at. Don't be afraid to look and trust your own ears. It's not only about the dollars being spent. There are great values out there that don't necessarily cost lots of money and still deliver huge sound performance.
All right, Irv, any closing words?
One of the things that I like to remember, and I encourage people to, is nobody needs audio equipment. Okay, this is a fun business. We are not involved in a cure for global warming. We are not saving the world for cancer. Hopefully we're not trying to save the world from bad audio, but it's fun. Part of what we do in coming to this is the interaction among each other, listening to good music, finding new ideas, sharing that. That's part of the fun of finding a good dealer. Hey man, I got a great piece of music for you to listen to. I had somebody come up right before I came down here who said, you played a great cut for me last year when you were here. I want to hear it on this system. Can you do that? And by the way, what else do you have that's cool? Have some fun with this. Sometimes I think we take this shit way too far.
Yes. So nobody's saving babies or killing puppies here. So let's have some fun. Thank you, guys.